I'm a big believer that everybody deserves to be loved. Even some of these stinking ass niggas who be in my comments. Maybe some of them just need a hug. Maybe some of them just needed somebody to tell them, I see you, I respect you, I'm here for you, I love you. Maybe they just needed that. I hope they find it. Genuinely. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Let Me Just Say This. If you are new here, hello, welcome to the vibe, welcome to the tribe. Go ahead and subscribe. You are going to love it here. And if you're watching, hello, hey, from the living room once again. I'm so happy to be back with you guys in this episode. I tried to record this yesterday, and I did so semi-successfully, only my audio got corrupted, and I was sick. I was sliding down the wall crying. I was doing everything I could. But here we are, re-recording. And I had to get this message off for you because I was on Instagram Live on Saturday night. And if you don't follow on the Instagram, what are you doing? It goes up over there at LMJST_pod on Instagram and TikTok. Instagram goes crazy. When I tell you, I'm not lying. I know I say this every episode, but it goes crazy. It goes crazy. And I like to get on live. I'm going to start doing regular Instagram lives over there. I was on live Saturday night and I asked the gang, I was like, hey, what do you guys want to hear from me? Because I'm a certified yapper. I'll get on here and just say, fa la 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 la. I'll be on here just talking whatever shit I want to talk, but I want to know what you want to hear from me. And so I had one person on my live say to me, they said, you don't make enough content holding women accountable. You don't make enough content teaching women how to have better discernment when it comes to dating. And I feel like I do. I feel like the people who watch the full episodes know that, or listen to the episodes know that. But I understand from the Instagram, I be on their heads. I be on the men's heads. Not too heavy, but you would think that I'm going hard in the paint over there the way they be in my comments, because they are, woo. They come out in droves, baby. They're not going to scare me off Instagram, though. I love it. I love it. Come at me. Come at me. Essentially, they told me, you need to teach these women how to do better. Stop making such bad decisions. Okay, cool. So today, I'm going to let you guys know 5 things that I have learned and that have helped me have better discernment and in general, just do better in life. And these are situations that don't just apply to dating. They can apply to anything in your life, but specifically, we love to talk about love and relationships and all that jazz. So specifically, I'm going to focus in on dating. But like I said, this is stuff that you can apply in every aspect of your life. So let's just go ahead and get right on into it. Okay, now listen. I was going to name this episode the Discernment Commandments. Instead, I'm just going to say Nye's top 5 rules to not getting caught the fuck up. Okay? No, I'm not going to name it that. Let's call it the Let Me Just Say This guide to avoiding stress and heartbreak and sliding down walls crying. Okay? So this rule, this first one, and this, not even a rule, this piece of advice, okay? This first one, I need you to hear me and hear me clearly. If you don't get anything else from this episode, this is the number 1 thing, okay? When you are in a situation and you have realized that that situation doesn't serve you, or that that person does not want these same things as you need to get out of there. As soon as you realize that you and that person are on 2 different fields in 2 different books, you don't want the same things, you don't have the same goals and aspirations for life, you probably should not be with them. You probably shouldn't be with them. You should probably go ahead and move on. And I say this is the most important because oftentimes we'll be in situations with people and we may know for a fact that it's not serving us and that person doesn't actually want what we want. A lot of the times what I see on Instagram and TikTok is a lot of unrequited love. A lot of, why won't you choose me? Chloe Bailey actually just put out an album. It's good. It is. And she has a song on there that's like, why is it that the man that I want the most just doesn't want me back? And the people that I don't want me? Baby, you are chasing the wrong thing. You will run yourself in circles trying to chase after somebody who does not want you. And that's not to say go towards who wants you all the time. If you don't want them back, then it's basically the same cycle. The person you want doesn't want you. Who wants you, you don't want. And to them, their perspective is the person they want doesn't want them, right? And it's just one big random cycle of just chasing after something that clearly is saying, yo, I'm not for you. I don't choose you. I don't want you. I think the hardest part of that is recognizing the rejection of it. Just because you pour into somebody doesn't mean they're going to pour back into you. And especially not in the same way. And it's important, especially early on, to be clear about what you want. If you're a person and you want a serious relationship, maybe you should be with somebody who also wants a serious relationship. If marriage means a lot to you, you should be with somebody who also aspires to marriage, not someone you have to convince, not someone you think that eventually they'll get it right or eventually they'll choose me. No. Choose yourself first and recognize y'all don't want the same things. You don't want the same things. You're not compatible. Doesn't matter how much you like them, how funny they are, how fine they are, how much money they are. If y'all aren't compatible in the most fundamental of ways, as in wanting the same things, you're in for an uphill battle. And oftentimes, baby, we just go ahead and tumble right down the hill, all the way down to Heartbreak Lane. Nobody wants to be over there. Just go ahead and turn yourself around and walk down peacefully, please. Now, this second thing, some may say this is the most important. And in ways it is. It's like top 2, but it's like 1.1. It's up there. This is also extremely important, okay? This second piece of advice and this second thing that I've learned, especially this year, is that you have to be honest with yourself. You need to know when you're ready for certain things. You have to have a sense of self-awareness to understand how you're showing up in your different relationships. If you are showing up in a very desperate way, you need to be able to clock that in yourself. Oftentimes we can see when other people are showing up desperate or showing up with low self-esteem or showing up in a way that promotes negativity around them or that promotes, being in relationships that are ultimately to their detriment or promotes them being in the same cycle they've been in over and over and over again, like insanity. We can always point that out in other people. It is not as easy to point it out in yourself. And it really takes a lot of introspection and maturity to sit down with yourself and say to yourself, you know what? Actually, I'm not ready for that. Actually, there are some things about me that I need to work on. There are some flaws within myself that I need to work on. And you know what they always say? Women don't love taking accountability. Women don't ever, ever, ever see what they do wrong. In some ways, this is true. Yes. I'm not going to say ever, but I'll definitely say that we don't always like to be wrong. We don't always want to feel like we're in the wrong. And it is easy for us to be the victim. Growth and maturity will teach you that in every situation that falls apart, there's a role that you have played. And it's not always your fault when somebody does you dirty. However, there's a role that you played between yourself and that person. There's a role that you have played, basically allowing certain things to happen or staying in certain situations or going back to certain situations. Even when it doesn't seem like it's your fault, there is always something you could have learned and done better, right? There's always something that kept you there, right? And if you're not consciously thinking about, okay, why is it that my relationships turn out a certain way, especially if you're in a cycle? Like, put a finger up if you know somebody who has been with the same person over and over and over and over and over again in different bodies. The same person, same traits, same type of relationships, just a different body. Raise your hand. Put a finger up. We all know somebody like that. That person might just be us. Okay? Understand that there are things in you that may be attracting these type of people. There are things in you that may be preventing you from getting what you really want. And sometimes it's not even about anybody else. Sometimes it's just about you. Sometimes you just need to heal that inner trauma. Sometimes you need to get over that, toxic independence. Sometimes you need to get over, that trust issue that you may have. Those are things that you have to do on your own. And I'm a big supporter of, if you know that there are things you need to work on in yourself, you should sit yourself down. Sit down, be alone, and fix it. Sit down, be alone, and heal on your own. There are certain things and certain ways you can only heal through by yourself. And there are other things you heal through by being with somebody else. Because I think relationships heal us as well. They teach us as well. They show us. They're like a reflection of us as well. But, the earlier that you can pick up on, okay, I'm tapping back into my bad habits that have been holding me back. And that's another thing. The reality is, sometimes all of your relationships suck because you have a pattern of poor decisions. You just got a lot of bad habits you're not trying to fix because you don't want to recognize that you have them. Or maybe you just don't know. Maybe you're just not looking. You keep making the same choices over and over and over again. And until you sit yourself down, remove everything else and focus inward, you won't know why. You have to have a sense of introspection. You have to be able to sit down and be like, okay, all of my relationships are going to shit. Why is that? Why is that? It can't be everybody else's fault. Sometimes it's you. Sometimes there's something about you that you have to work on your own by yourself in order to be healthy for the right relationship for you. Otherwise, they're just going to keep failing. And honestly, I kind of came to terms with that in some ways myself because I never feel like I'm wrong. Baby, I'm a Sagittarius. I'm never wrong. I'm always right. And I always know what's best. Reality is I don't. I'm not always right. And I had to sit myself down and be like, damn, what's up with you? Why do you keep making this bad decision? What do you need to work on and what do you need to heal from so that we can get to the next place we want to get to? And that's fundamentally the whole point of being introspective and being honest with yourself. Be candid with yourself. Look at yourself in a very raw form. And I know it's hard to do, but sometimes you got to call yourself out on your own bullshit. Because if you don't do that first, when you get into a relationship and another person starts calling you out on your bullshit, you're not going to be able to handle it. You're not going to be able to handle it. And it might just lead to some toxic mess that you really shouldn't be in the first damn place. Now, this third piece of advice is very common sense-esque, but it still needs to be said because it is hard in practice, especially when our heart gets tangled up in it, baby. We get to running. Honey, take your time. Take your time. Stop rushing into these relationships. Stop getting too deep too fast. Stop doing that. Pacing is everything. And I'm not going to tell you at what pace you should move, right? Because I feel like that varies from person to person and it's very nuanced and it's too niche. I'm not going to tell you, yeah, wait 6 months and it'll work for sure. Or wait a year and it'll work for sure. Hey, can't call it. When you use your other senses of discernment in other areas, that pacing thing can kind of be adjusted, right? However, a general rule of thumb is to not move too fast. And if somebody cannot match you, right? If they can't meet you where you are when you say, yo, I need to take my time. I need to vet this out. I need to really just go with it and just really take it at a nice, good pace. If they can't match you where you are, baby, then they're probably not somebody you should be with. You might just be on two separate pages. And I know it is difficult. Like I said, when you really like somebody or you really want something really bad to start running, right? But the thing about it is when you rush into relationships, oftentimes I think that it's out of a space of desperation or out of a space of scarcity. And it's very important when you're dating, you cannot operate out of a mindset of scarcity. You have to operate out of a mindset of abundance, okay? Because when you are operating off of, oh, this is the last thing I'm going to get. This is the greatest that I'm going to get. You'll fall for any fucking thing. You'll settle for anything. And you'll probably set yourself up for failure. Take your time. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. There have absolutely been times where I rushed into relationships or rushed into intimacy or rushed into like being physical. And I wholeheartedly regret most of those times, especially the relationships, like the situationships where I just was running and was just like, oh, God, I'm just flowing with the wind and not moving with any intention, really. And going with the flow sometimes is a very roundabout way of saying, I'm going to be too lazy to actually set some intention. I'm going to be too lazy to actually set some boundaries or like set some type of standards, right? I'm just going with the flow. No, sometimes you got to be like, okay, I'm not going with the flow. And I believe in letting things happen organically, of course. However, sometimes going with the flow means you flowing a little bit too fast. Slow down. It's a marathon, not a race. You don't got to start off at the sprint. That person doesn't have to be in love with you in 3 days. You guys don't have to know exactly what you guys are doing right away. It's just that when you set your own timelines, when you set your own boundaries and you are steadfast with them, it makes it easier for you to decide when to leave certain situations. And that's actually the next piece of advice. That's a great segue into knowing when to leave. And this is more so when you're already in the situation. Because, okay, yeah, it's easy to say, don't move too fast and choose the right person and take your time and vet them out. Hey, we don't always do that. And we get ourselves into situationships, relationships, hell, marriages, jobs. We done lied on the application about this. I don't know how to do this, but here I am, right? I'm in a situation. I'm in too deep. Baby, you're never really too deep. Hey, you can pull out whenever you want. Oh, that sounded kind of freaky. Hold on. Sorry, but you know what I mean? Like, you're never in so deep that it's too late to pull back. You have to know when to leave. And I know once you're in it, you want to try and try and try and try and try. Like, oh, I'm in it now. I might as well make it work. Or, oh, I really have feelings for this person now. So I might as well figure out how we're going to put up with X, Y, and Z. Or even though I may see that we're not compatible or we don't want the same things, or that person showed me a side of them that I didn't like, or I'm seeing things, listen. Once you see things, like I said, that don't align, you have to get out of there. And I know every situation isn't a monolith. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes I know people who have been in relationships and in cycles for years with the same person. For years. Years. Eventually, you have to make a choice. You have to make a choice for yourself. And the important thing about knowing when to leave, it's not necessarily saying, okay, quit, give up, don't try to make your relationships work, right? It's more so saying that your mind, your body, and your spirit will tell you when you are fundamentally unhappy, when you are fundamentally receiving less than you deserve, when you can't feed into yourself, when you're feeling starved of love and affection, when you're feeling starved of attention and respect, when you're feeling starved of self-worth and value, that is when you need to leave. That is when you need to, at the very least, start creating an exit plan. At the very least, pivot. You may not want to leave the situation wholeheartedly. Okay, cool, fine. Pivot. Start to set some new boundaries. Start to do things that promote a healthier environment for yourself, your mental space, and for your relationships around you. I will never understand, and this is just me, right? I don't understand people who stay in these really tough relationships that are inherently like harming them. I don't understand it, but that's solely because I'm so guarded that oftentimes I don't even let myself get that deep. And that's some real shit. Like sometimes I have a guard and a wall that I done built up so high that it'll take Superman to penetrate this. Like for real. It'll take the strongest, realest nigga alive to really get down to the softest, fleshiest bits of my heart. And so my first instinct when honestly, things don't even have to go wrong. Sometimes fear gets the best of me, and that flight in me, I'll jet. So that's why, for me personally, I don't understand people who stay in toxic relationships or who stay in relationships where they're getting disrespected all the time. I don't understand it. However, I can empathize. I'll empathize with you, but I don't think it's something that I could do because I know myself. And I know that if I'm in a situation that isn't serving me or making me happy, I'll leave. And even sometimes if I'm not ready to leave, because I understand, hey, you may not be ready to come up off them. You might be stuck like a sticker, but you can clock like, yo, this isn't it. This is probably not the one I'm going to be with forever. This is not where I want to be. This is not what I want for myself. I just can't come up off them yet, but I'm going to prepare myself. I'm going to start lacing up my boots. I'm going to start strapping myself in so I'm prepared to go, so that I'm ready. When I find the strength to come up off this person, I can come up off them. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe you just don't think that you're strong enough. Maybe you don't think that you will be successful if you leave, or that you'll have anything. The fear of loneliness, the fear of, failure, the fear of embarrassment. Yo, you got to throw all that shit to the side, because every day of your life is meant to be lived to the fullest. It's meant to be lived with happiness and love around you. Know when to go. Know when to go. And if you have trouble figuring out, okay, when is it that I'm going to leave? Sometimes you have to set hard boundaries. Set a hard line, a red line in the sand. Hey, if you cross this, I'm leaving. That's just that on that. Or if I begin to feel this, I'm leaving. That's just that on that. Or if this certain situation takes place, I'm leaving. That's just that on that. If I find myself in this specific mindset, or I find myself in the deep end of darkness, or I'm feeling anxious about you, depressed, and all this other stuff, yo, I'm going to clock it and I'm leaving. Because I have to put me first. I have to choose my health and my happiness first, baby. The best thing that you can do is discern when it's time to leave. And the earlier, the better. This last piece of advice is something that I think we all struggle with, and that is applying the lessons that we have learned. And I know I mentioned this already, but there are people who are in cycles. You're stuck in that cycle of toxicity with that person because you do not know how to apply the lesson that you should have learned, or maybe you just didn't learn it at all. Maybe God keeps sending you the same person until you figure it out. Maybe there's a reason why you keep finding yourself in the same situation with the same type of people who keep showing up in just different bodies. You ain't learned your lesson. That, or you just ain't applying it. You know what to do. And that's really the truth. A lot of us know these things. A lot of us know that we shouldn't be in relationships with people who don't treat us kindly, but we stay anyway. A lot of us know that that person may have crossed our boundaries, but we stick beside them. We know what it is. We know the truth. We choose to still be there, right? Eventually, though, you'll have to apply what you have learned from these situations in order to grow, or you'll stay stagnant. You'll stay stuck. There are people who are stuck, cemented to the ground, rooted to where they are solely because they don't know how to apply what they have learned, or they are choosing not to actively. They're just choosing not to because they're too afraid, or maybe they don't want to. Maybe they're not ready. Who knows what it is? But I feel like in dating, everybody that you meet is coming to teach you a lesson in one way or another. Maybe a good lesson, maybe a bad lesson. But as you are navigating it, apply those things. Do differently. Do better. If you found yourself in a situation that wasn't serving you or that was less than favorable, and you managed to get up out of there, Use that knowledge. Use what you learned so you don't have to be in that situation again. Stop repeating these cycles. Stop repeating these cycles. And all of this goes hand in hand. You can't apply your lessons if you didn't sit down and actually think introspectively about why that shit failed, or why it went left, or why you were in the position that you were in. Okay? You're also not going to be able to do that if you choose to stay in situations that you know aren't serving you. You have to know when to leave. You have to know when to leave. Okay? And if you can't figure out when to leave, it's most likely because you are blinded by love or admiration or lust or whatever that is keeping you with somebody who inherently doesn't want the same fucking things as you, who isn't really genuinely looking out for you the way that you may be looking out for them, or have intentions for you the way that you have intentions for them. All of these things go hand in hand. And they're very basic things. I feel like these are honestly the hardest things, but also in a lot of ways, the most simple. I feel like these are the things that'll give you a good foundation to start dating in a healthy way. You know, these are kind of the foundations to discernment, because good discernment will save you from a lot of things. Okay. Every person we encounter is an experience and a series of decisions. There are a series of decisions, and your life has endless possibilities. If you keep choosing to be in situations that are harmful to you spiritually, physically, mentally, you will be stuck. You will be stuck. And the longer you stay, the harder it's going to be to get out of it. But I have so much faith that people can grow. I have so much faith that people can grow because I know how much I've grown. How much I have grown. Because trust and believe, this time last year, I was stuck on a man I had no business fucking on. I'm going to be real with you. This time last year, I was in a situation with somebody that really didn't serve me. And it took making a conscious decision like, yo, I don't want this for myself anymore. God doesn't want this for me. You know, I want to elevate. I want good things to come to me. I want the love that I deserve to come to me. I want the love, the life that I deserve and that I aspire to be within my grasp. And I can't get it if I keep on holding on to the past. If I keep on holding on to someone who inherently doesn't care about me. If I keep on being in this cycle of handing myself over, of, you know, accepting the bare minimum, of giving too much too soon, taking too much too soon, allowing people to disrespect me, allowing people to cross my boundaries. Bro, there's no way you can grow when those things are taking place. There's no way you can evolve when you can't break out of that cycle. You have to get out of that cycle. And as cliche as it sounds, I think it's all rooted in how much you care about yourself. How much you care about yourself is shown through your actions and how you let people treat you. How much you love yourself. And I know that every situation is nuanced, and the heart wants what the heart wants. And it's hard out here for a pimp, but baby, notice this shit early. Get it early. I'm a big believer that everybody deserves the love that they give. I'm a big believer that everybody deserves to be loved. Even some of these stinking ass niggas who be in my comments. Maybe some of them just need a hug. Maybe some of them just needed somebody to tell them, I see you, I respect you, I'm here for you, I love you. Maybe they just needed that. I hope they find it. Genuinely. Child, I know that was a lot. I was trying to keep it concise, and I'm really going off the dome because, like I said, I recorded this yesterday already, and I'm so sad because it was such a good episode. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope you guys got something good from it. I hope it was helpful. You know, I try to make content for people who need it. I try to be as honest as I can about situations that I've seen and that I've been in and that I've talked to people about. And I know that doing this for me personally isn't just a therapeutic thing, but as long as there's one person listening and getting something out of it, it's worth it. As long as there's one person who can watch this episode or listen to this episode and say, damn, she's right. Or not even she right. You don't even gotta agree. But I just want to give you some perspective, and hopefully in a way that improves your life, that makes life a little bit more fun for you, a little bit more enjoyable, a little bit more full of love and laughter and light. Because baby, it's hard enough out here. And I'm a believer that you can make choices to make your life better. You can make decisions to make your life better. You can't change the people around you, but you can change the people around you. You can't change your situation all the time, but you can change your situation sometimes. And that's all I want for the girls. As a young woman, I think that I have learned that my accountability stems directly from my self-esteem and how much I love myself. Because the real tea is when you love yourself, you can be honest with yourself. You can be brutally honest and be like, yo, this is where I fell short. This is where I was showing up desperate as fuck. This is where I did something that was entirely irrational or stupid, or maybe I should have just done this better. You can be honest about your shortcomings with yourself when you love yourself. Now, listen, you go to a space where you don't love yourself enough or as much, you start ignoring them hard things and sharp edges and them corners that you don't want to go into. You start ignoring it. You start thinking, oh, it's because this person did this to me. No. Self-love is accountability. Self-love is honesty. Be honest with yourself and make better decisions. Oh my God, please. It's never too late to start making better decisions for yourself. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope it didn't get too deep, but they told me hold the girls accountable. Teach them better discernment. Baby, it's a skill. It's a knife that has to be sharpened daily. I'm learning all the time how to have better discernment, how to choose better, how not to fall back into bad habits and worldly things. I'm trying every day. It's hard out here for a pimp. But slow motion is better than no motion. One step at a time, one day at a time. It's never too late to start over, and it's never too late to pivot. Don't ever forget that. And on that note, I will see you guys in the next episode. Let me know what y'all want to hear next.